We got some gunslingers up here on the stage. So we're going to start with Mark Nagelvoort. Mark, you're going to bring up a panel, and I'm going to let you do your introductions.
So why don't I start with Doug Bell, since Doug's here. So I'm Mark Nagelvoort, President and CEO of PCMI. So you can tell I've been in the industry for a while, and PCMI was a company we actually started in 2012, and hopefully you guys know about PCMI. If you don't know about PCMI, I'm really glad I'm here on top of that. But you know, we've been trying to grow. So right now we're in about 30,000 dealerships in North America, which you could say, well, there's only 17,000 franchise, but between franchise, non-franchise, power sports, auto. But it's all on behalf of our customers. So we're a behind-the-scenes company. We work primarily with people that are administrators. I got to meet Doug when we did the Nissan Infiniti implementation, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then we have Andy. Andy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Andy Peterson. I'm the Financial Products Manager and Corporate Risk Manager for Polaris.
Great.
I'm Greg Myers. I'm Head of Manufacturing Services for Beecher Carlson.
And Doug, do you want to tell people what you're doing today?
Yeah, I spent 32 years with Nissan, 20 of it, the last 20 were in the vehicle service contract business, all aspects except accounting, and took an early retirement package in December and started a extended warranty and service contract consulting company. So I've been doing that the last 2 years, almost 2 years now, and to help other people, OEMs and TPAs, either make a conversion from whatever they're on their software or CPO programs or anything in the space, really. And that's what I'm doing now.
So when Doug was a customer at Nissan, he was a person who really shared for us back in 2003 what the unique challenges an OEM sort of faced. And then when we're building the platform, we have a special version just for OEMs. So when I say we have a special version for OEMs, there's some unique things we found. We're always amazed at the power the OEM has. One thing is when you're working with your dealers and you're an insurance company, you actually have to send separate invoices, separate billing, all this. But when you're an OEM, we found we could bill right through the non-vehicle account. So you can make your product very much easier for an OEM actually to use and sell, right? You know, the integration with the OEM for the security side and just being a link on their portals, they don't view it as a separate application they have to get into. But I think one of the big things we found out was we can take all what we called RDR records, right, which are all the vehicle sales. And it's very easy to produce penetration reports. So you know if this dealer sold 100 cars and he sold 40 service contracts, he's getting a 40% penetration, right? And of course you know the actual cars, but you also know the 60 cars he didn't make a sale on. And you know the customer for that 60 cars. So you can design not only programs, you can do follow-up programs. There's a tremendous amount of data. When you're not the OEM, that data is actually very hard to get to. It's possible, but you have to pay DMS integration fees, and there's a lot of DMS partners out there. So we just found that to support an OEM, there was things we needed to do differently to give you really a competitive advantage. So people say, well, who are some of the OEMs? So, you know, Nissan Infiniti, we added Mitsubishi, you know, through the alliance, and we do this in both the United States, Canada, Brazil. We're looking at potentially Europe, but JM&A we mentioned a little bit about, but Volkswagen and Audi up in Canada. And obviously we're trying to add more, but we think we've really developed a lot of expertise in this area. So what is it we're trying to do? Well, we're trying to really give you a communications hub that you can work with your TPAs for products that you don't want to offer. So if there's 17 different products, there'll be some products that you actually want to manage, and typically this is like a VSC or a prepaid maintenance. And again, these are just examples. But you know, appearance protection is sort of a real specialty, right? You put the paint or you put the film on the product. There's TPAs you can work with that are really experts at this, right? There's also things like ancillary products. I think most people know about Safeguard or NSD. And then even like Allstate, you know, offers like gap coverage through an OEM. Now, what we feel is important is that you should maintain the relationship with the dealer. And you should have 100% visibility to all this data, right? And so we look at it as a hub because even though the dealer's on a menu screen, when he comes into through that menu, menus talk to PCRS, We then issue the request to these other systems, and it all happens in about 3 seconds, right? So it's extremely fast. But if you were to change a partner, it's very easy to change a partner. So Doug, you went through this one point in time where you actually issued RFP to your different TPAs?
Yeah. We had Allstate, in fact, for our GAP contracts, and we had VSC, prepaid maintenance, CPO, and GAP. That was it. And as an OEM, we compete not with the other OEMs, but with the TPAs in the business, and they had a full suite of assurance products. So, you end up losing dealers to other providers, or they get their foot in the door with other providers. So we said, hey, we need to be a full service provider. So how do we do this? Well, at the time, we weren't on PCRS before we added the products first, it was the development stage. And so what we said, what we really need to do is have it integrated inside of PCRS to look seamless, because when we first added products, the remittance between the dealer and those companies, Allstate and NSD, was separate. So we built them on the NDA for the products that we represented, and they got 3 separate billings. So now within PCRS software, that's all behind the scenes, and we bill them for all the products right through PCRS, which sends a file to Nissan SAP, and Nissan hits the non-vehicle account for the dealers and collects that money. So it's a big improvement.
And the nice thing about this is we find that these programs and products really are made on a country level. So most administrators focus on one country, some on it, but then if you're in Canada, you can have a different set of partners.
Right.
But it's the same process, it's the same names on the products, the customer experience is the same. So you can actually build out a true global program now. So that was one of the things we're proud of. And I don't know, we have one of the companies here is Cars Protection Plus. I don't see Rick in the audience. Stan, did he have to step? Oh, there he is. Rick, would you stand up just for a second? How many people want to put an extended warranty on a 120,000 mile vehicle? Okay. So one of the things when Nissan came to us, they said, look, the high mileage program, we know our dealers are selling it, so here's your decision. The dealers are going to sell those programs. Do you want to be involved and know about it, or you just want to let them work with somebody else? So, his company actually helps OEMs on the high mileage programs, and it's transparent. Again, you're on a menu system, you put in the vehicle mileage, the right products are presented, it all happens seamlessly, and it can all be billed directly. So I thought I would make a little introduction there. So the benefits, right? So complete visibility to what's going on the moment it's happening. So, you can actually see the presentations. You can actually see people are looking at our products as they're happening, because now you're in control of it, right? You can actually see when the dealer actually issued an agreement, but the car has not been loaned, the vehicle has not been approved for financing, right? So then when the vehicle is approved for financing is what we talk about being a billing. You can centralize the billing and accounting for all the products, so it's on one simple bill, and it can actually feed into the part statement. So that's been, and participation statements is what is your strategy for providing an incentive program for the dealers to sell your products, right? The risk management, so this is where we talk about, how much money came in versus how fast we're dispersing it, and we get into earnings and loss ratios. You can do it on a complete product set, whether you're taking the risk or not. Your vendor management, make sure that you feel that you're working with the right partners, and then the new dealer technology, enables you to do all these different things, right? So when people talk about what are all the different aspects if we're going to do all these products that we need to interface with? Well, you've got menus and desking tools. You've got DMS systems. You got actual VIN decoding. Now, VIN decoding sounds simple on your products, maybe, right? But when you're going to call it on GAP and you're going to call it some of the other things, there's other attributes such as the percentage of MSRP and some of the other vehicle attributes you use, especially on the used cars. So the VIN decoding is part of it. Virtual credit card payments. This is where we actually issue virtual credit cards for immediate payment in the service drive. It was an option. You got inbound premium payments. So typically what you're going to do is you're going to take these products and you're going to roll them up into the finance agreement. Well, what do you do when a person wants to buy the warranty and they've exceeded their financial credit limit? So there's companies such as PayLink, SPP, Budco, that say we'll take the premium financing of these products as a separate transaction because it was turned down by the bank, but you don't miss the sale, right? Vehicle inspection. So it's at the time of claim, and you actually want to have people physically go out to the dealership and get inspected, and you want that to all be part of your claim system. You know, now we actually let people order engines and transmissions directly in the claim system by working with some additional partners. You know, parts verification, title verification. You know, was it a flooded title and you don't want to put a contract on it, right? And the list just sort of goes on. And I think a lot of people really don't realize the complexity of what it takes to have one of these. And then when we get to the automation of the dealership, a lot of people want to bring their car in and get a quick decision, right? They don't want to see that the dealer has to pick up the phone and go call somebody to get permission to do something, right? So the complete automation, right, of, no, it's a valid repair, automate the repair, give the dealer immediate approval on the repair if you can do it, or at least collect the information and we'll get back to the dealer. You can set up claim limits, workflow processing, email alerts to some of the stakeholders, and the audit risk management reports, you know? And this is both with internal and external parties. So the focus is, again, allowing the OEM to have direct relationships with consumers, lenders, and dealers. So this was the example of the JM&A site I referred to, which is out on the internet. But it really opened up, I think there's 400 lenders now that access it. There's a video on our website for people who want to know more. But the customers want to be more involved. And they want to know about what's going on even when they're not there, right? So Doug, you want to take your slides?
Sure. Thanks, Mark. So the few short slides that I have up here are really thought starters. So if you're out there considering to replace your either the admin system you have today, whether it be in-house or a mainframe, or you're with some other provider that may be just not allowing you to do business the way you want to, these are thought starters to think of. So this next few slides are that way. Things you need to think about if you're considering replacing your system. So, and I didn't know what I was going to hear from all the other people the first day and a half, but you know, that first sentence, technology is the center of everything we do today. Back in 2014, Nissan was still doing service contracts via paper, and people were wet signing them, and they were faxing them into you know, a policy admin team, and we were inputting them where the dealer was inputting them, but they were only inputting maybe 20% on their own. So today, everything is digital, right? And those contracts are filled out at the dealership. It can be wet signed or e-signed. If it's e-signed, it's being stored. So I mentioned things to consider, and then what keeps you up at night. And that is kind of like, what are your pain points? We'll talk about those in a minute. So this is kind of a recap. And it's a simple business, really. That's something I've used before. It's supposed to look simple to the consumer, and it's supposed to look simple to the dealer. But behind the scenes, and you saw some of those slides, Mark, one of the last 2 or 3 that Mark just showed, all the different connectivity through APIs to whether it be a lender or a finance company or a provider of products or you name it, you know. So I'll move on. The first little cube there on the left says, what's your business health assessment? I pulled that from once a year, Nissan used to make us fill out a personal health assessment, right? And a lot of companies, I'm sure, do that. But when's the last time you did that with your business, right? And took a look at it. A lot of times we do the reporting based upon what's our revenue and what's our profit. We don't take a deep dive and look at the individual products, right? Where are we winning business? Where are we losing business? What are the revenue and profit contributions of your business? So BSC, prepaid maintenance, GAP, all those different products separately. Am I growing some? Am I losing some? What's happening there? The next one's huge. Year over year, same store sales. And that's something I pulled years ago from, I think, the CNBC, you know, that show in the morning. And they talked about in retail, what's my year over year same store sales and why that's so important. It's so important because I can grow my business by adding more retail stores, right? but what's happening with the maybe 100 stores I started with before I added 20? So what's my real business? And then if you're an OEM, you have points, right? An address that there's a dealership at, and buy-sells happen. So I'm saying you really need to look at what happens with those buy-sells. Did I used to do business at that location with Nissan's VSC business? And the new dealer who came in, did they do business with someone else? Or are they still with Nissan? And then conquest. What dealers did I add? And then defections. What dealers did I lose? And unless you're doing that and you don't know your business, and this was real for us because we were adding like 25 dealers a year. We had about 525, 600 dealers that were loyal to us. But yet our dollars revenue were down, and it didn't make any sense to us. So we took a deep dive. Year over year, same store sales will give you those answers to your business. We talked about pain points. What do your customers wish you had, but you don't, but maybe your competitor has? And what's your admin system look like? I mean, how old is it? At Nissan, I think ours was 30 or 40, 50 years old. It was a mainframe. Didn't have connectivity to outside menus or anything else. So is it a mainframe or cloud? Do you have a dealer portal? Do you have single sign-on capability to manage the users? And how do you get there? We did what we call a strategic gap analysis. I'm suggesting you do that too if you're looking at it. So today we'll talk about technology, but it really should look at products. You know, what products do I have and what do my competitors have? What am I missing? What do I need to add? Same thing with technology, and I'll talk a little more about technology. We go into it. Field force. You know, I'm using agents. Am I using dedicated field force? Do I outsource my field force? And what does my training look like? Do I just have personnel that call on dealers and do it in person? Do I have a university? Do I have web-based training? But let's take a look at technology. So the key points you should be thinking of if you're looking at a new admin system: does your current one constrain your ability to maintain or add accounts and grow the business? Can you add new products? The last product I added before we were on PCRS was a maintenance product for non-Nissan, non-Infinity business. And it took 6 months and $250,000 to build that in the mainframe so we could start to do business. So today, and I did this last year in one of these meetings like this, I launched a product sitting in the meeting with my laptop, and it went out to all dealers in the country. So external providers, and Mark mentioned that would be people that supply your gap or ancillary products or even roadside assistance. Financing sources such as 0% consumer financing, PayLink, 𝗪𝗘𝗧, et cetera. And, you know, can you make a global pricing change with a future effective date? I kind of made a joke to the table I was sitting at earlier about do you have to contact your IT department and schedule the deployment and set a date with them to get it done, or can you do it with yourself sitting right there on the fly? And I actually watched Todd sign on to PCRS and make a change and hit enter and save it, and it was effective to all their dealers. And can you update forms in seconds? So before, the forms were paper and you had to print them and mail them to dealers, and dealers, you know, pulled them out. They ran them through one of those dot matrix printers. Today, you can make that PDF online and digitize it. It gets filled in on PCRS.
And that's from the compliance. I mean, the people have gone through the compliance on the form and make sure it's compliant with that state and that regulation.
And Mark already kind of mentioned, he mentioned gap claims. That's the compliance with that. There's about 30 different e-menus connected to PCRS now. When we started, I think it was about a dozen. I was making cold calls to menu companies to get them set up. But right now, it's click. They're all connected. It's really great. DMS integration. I had a TPA I'm still working with, and I'm just finishing up with. They were the first client actually to use DMS integration, but that's when you want to use PCRS as a menu. You don't have a menu, but you want to pull the deal in from their DMS, and then PCRS becomes the menu. So that capability is there as well for all the major DMS providers. And then we talk about reinsurance. You know, there's some companies that are still doing session statements via Excel, but there's a reinsurance module on PCRS that automates that for you. especially if you're using their open sales platform and your contracts and claims are already in, because you need those two pieces to run the succession statement. Big one, next one, 360-degree view of the customer. I heard other people mention that. But back when we were on the mainframe, claims went into an app just to do claims, warranty claims, and the people who were selling service contracts went in and just could add a service contract. The two systems had no visibility to each other. You have to sign on separately. Now when claims sign in, they can see all the activity. And likewise, if you sign in, you're doing something, updating the service contract, changing the name, you can see the claim. So it's 360-degree view of the customer. User permissions get assigned to roles. You can assign, you have a dealer principal that might want to see his session statement, want to see an incentive program, but you don't want anyone else to see that. So you set all those up within PCRS as well. And then today, and that last one's huge too, a TPA is going to be able to do business with any dealer in the country. And what's happened since 2008 was a consolidation of ownership. There used to be about 60% individual proprietorships that owned OEM franchise dealers. That's dropped down to about 40. And what happened is those percentage shifted. So there's a lot more dealers who own the 2 to 10 dealers in total or 11 plus dealers. And they have grown. They want to do business with one provider, right? So I have a Nissan store, maybe a Honda and a Chevy store, maybe in the same town, maybe in different towns, but I want to deal with one provider. I can sign in and see my business and see what's happening with it. I don't want to be bouncing all over the place. So this allows you to do that. I also heard about outsourcing the first day and a half. So I kind of want to recap that. The auto business outsources a lot of stuff. You know, when you think about it, we say we're an auto manufacturer, if you're but we're really an auto assembler, right? We design the vehicle, the frame, or the unit body. We usually stamp the sheet metal. We have a foundry where we produce our own engines. Most OEMs produce their own. But we're buying the interiors. We're buying airbags. We're buying lighting systems. We're buying the electronics, and we're assembling those. So I mention that because it's really not too far-fetched to say, okay, I probably outsource my ancillary products, right? I may not want to take the risk on them. Some companies do, or some of them. It's really difficult, especially if it's a product that you need a network for, like paintless dent repair. So a lot of times things like that are outsourced. And then you probably outsource, your insurance, or, you may just administrate them. You may not be the obligor. If you're a TPA, it's typically all outsourced, right? They're only the administrator. And then roadside assistance as well. Big one to consider if you're an OEM or a TPA. You hear about people getting hacked every day and personal information gets divulged. This is one of the things that keeps IT departments up at night. And when PCRS was actually built, we worked with Nissan Global IT, and we actually provided the specs that we wanted for security, redundancy, and disaster recovery. Right, that's IT speak, but business unit, what does it mean? It means if I've gone digital and I don't have paper contracts anymore, if the system is down, you can't sell the customer any insurance products, right? So you want to make sure it's up and running. The PCRS solution is global. It's designed to OEM specs. It uses rack space in 3 different locations and never been down. Yeah. So it's a simple business really. Mark showed you this slide, right? If you're considering a new system, there's a lot to think about here. And chances are the IT people who built your system, if it's 10 or 20 years old, don't even work for your company anymore. So as a business unit person, it's like, I thought I knew all the business rules and how it works, and you write the bulletins and you communicate with dealers. But that coding behind the scenes in IT is a lot different, right? So if you're trying to build a new system, it's really difficult to do versus being able to go with a provider like PCRS that has already built that for you, and you can see all those different API connections to all those tools you need. So I look at it as, what do we have? What can we do? Do you have the staff, the time, and the resources to write your own code? Can I outsource it? Can I reduce my costs, my development time, my time to market by outsourcing this? And I think the answer there is do your diligence on it like we did, but I think the answer you'll find is yes. And this is key too, because I think we tend to look at it, oh, this is going to change everything. It's going to change the way we do business with our dealers. And I've got to teach them new things. Well, if they're on a menu, it's seamless because PCRS is behind the scenes. The admin system's behind the scenes. They see the menu. So the only difference will be to the back office personnel to remit the contracts, right? That's the only changes it's going to be. And then to your policy admin team who uses the system maybe to make changes and stuff. So unlike the property and casualty business, I heard people talk about that earlier. There's 20, 30, maybe even more providers of admin systems in that side of the business. In this business, it's kind of specialized. There's really 5 choices. You can build it yourself, and there's about 4, including PCRS, options out there. And so what I'm trying to say is choose wisely from the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, but do your due diligence, do your homework up front, go to RFP, and hopefully what I presented today is a thought starter, because to get there, you need to start here.
Okay. Andy?
I guess you're next.
Greg, you want to go?
Okay. So I'm going to talk about making the selection between outsourcing and bringing internal, focused primarily on vehicle service contracts into the warranty system, because most people don't do the gap in the ancillary products. They don't have those resources in-house and the technical skills to be able to do it. Just a quick thing on 𝗪𝗓𝗪. We are part of Brown & Brown, the 5th largest insurance broker. The bulk of our business is on true traditional insurance, and we got started in this business back in 1985. I joined 𝗪𝗓𝗪 in '84, and we were doing a product liability study for Toyota, and they mentioned they wanted to start a service contract program. And I know Doug said it's a simple business. In '85, it really was a simple business. It's not as simple as it is today, particularly because of compliance and a lot more competition. But we look at the structures, and then we do ongoing actuarial work as people bring programs in-house. And we're a big believer in controlling your program, controlling your data, and controlling the underwriting of your product. So benefits of an internal system. So this is taking your standard warranty system that you have in-house and modifying it to use for service contracts. It's easier. You've already got it in place. Most all the repairs are going to be just like a warranty repair. At the end of the day, it's a subset of the warranty repairs. You have to then deal with roadside assistance or trip interruption or maybe rental car coverage. But for the most part, all repairs you're going to have, whether it's a water pump, a fuel injection system, it's the head unit for your navigation system, all of those things you're covered under your warranty. And your system is designed to go through that and process it. It has some limitations because it's a fairly standardized model. It has reduced ongoing expenses. It's all automated. You've got all the system, the dealers work very smoothly through it. They don't have to determine if the car is still under warranty, if it's under a CPO, or if it's under an extended warranty. All they have to do is just enter in the VIN and it processes it. It's going to go first warranty, or it's going to look at the CPO system or look at extended warranty. It's automatically going to sign it out. The dealer doesn't have to worry about where it is or who do I have to call. Do I enter it in a warranty? It gets rejected. Oh, now I have to call the phone adjuster to handle this extended warranty claim. And most importantly, it's control of data. Your data doesn't have to go outside to anybody, except maybe your outside actuary that's doing actuarial pricing. You don't have outside parties seeing your data, using your data for any other uses. Everything, it said Doug talked about technology-driven, and it's data-driven as much as technology-driven. So having that data, particularly as you start getting into BEV vehicles and so forth like that, you want to control that and manage it. It gives you a competitive advantage over time. It also reduces your exposure to cyber attacks. Somebody on the outside has your data. You now have to make sure that they don't get hit with a cyber attack where you give up private information. The fines are enormous, and breaches and shutdowns and public relations, or through that data transfer. If you keep it all in within yourself, that's the only place you really have to manage. There are some benefits to an external system, though. It typically has a more detailed claim review because you're doing a phone adjuster and they can ask questions, they can dwell into it, they assign out an inspector to go view the vehicle. Typically that doesn't happen under warranty. Warranty more relies on an audit process, and the detailed review is not quite as tough as it is. You know, you've got to worry about a used VSC and as the dealer trying to refurbish a vehicle or something like that. Most importantly, you're likely quicker to market and at a lesser cost. The amount of modification it takes to a warranty system to handle extended warranty, even if all you're doing is dealing with the claims themselves and not the front end, there's still a lot of process modifications you need to make. It also is a system that's designed to support those products. The warranty system has two things it has to look at for most OEMs. Is it during the full product warranty, or is it during the powertrain warranty, 336 or 560, for example? Well, under extended warranty, you've got a multitude of products. You have different terms. You have exclusionary coverage where most everything is covered. You have an electronics offering where you cover all of the navigation and the radio systems and the internet. And then you have one that may be powertrain only. And each of those can have different terms and conditions, a 560 plan or a 6100, et cetera. A lot of different plans that have to be modified and handled. Also, it's getting the attention of your IT department. So there was a report that came out in Automotive News, the Fixed Ops Journal, about 2 months ago, and they looked at repairs order by type. They had repair orders by cost, and repair orders by parts cost, and repair orders by labor time. Extended warranty didn't even fit into the top 5 for those two. It does fit in the top number of actual repairs, but it's way down. You know, you're talking 200,000, 200 million claims overall, and it's in the 11 million claim number. So it can be very significant in cost, but the volume of claims to get your IT department to put a priority on it may be minimal. When we actually set up the Toyota program back in '85 with Toyota, I was the IT and actuary guy then, and for the first 2 years, they ran their whole extended warranty system off of 2 PCs that we developed, the floppy systems that could handle the contract processing and claims. It was only new vehicles, so not many claims. Can't do that nowadays. But again, even with IT back then, it took 2 years before that system was up and operational. So mentioned getting that time commitment. Required system modifications. Probably the toughest thing is earning curves. So again, your warranty system tends to be fairly standardized. Most OEMs don't change their warranty systems very often. But service contracts are completely different. If we look at most of the programs we do, and we're involved with like 8 OEMs on the automotive side, and we're some consumer products and the appliances, et cetera, they have, for automotive, they have 20,000 to 30,000 different earning curves. So you've got because of the type of earning curves, depending on the type of vehicle, depending on the deductible, depending on the terms of coverage. So you have 30,000 various pricing products and doing those earnings. And then all of a sudden, pandemic hits in 2020. Guess what? Miles driven are going down. Is everybody going to go back to a hybrid system where they're not working at the office 5 days a week? They're going in 2 or 3? Well, guess what? That's the major time commitment people have of driving. So if those mileages go down, all of a sudden the earning curves all change. So you may have all the earning curves today. In 2023, you may say, well, we're going to modify a lot of these earning curves. Well, is your system set to handle that type of thing? That was never the original intent of the warranty system. The multiple product coverage offerings, we mentioned the exclusionary and powertrain. Also, multiple products on a single vehicle. You only get one manufacturer warranty, but you can have any number of CPO or add-on products. The car can come back off lease. It could go out as, I'm going to be quick here. It can go out by CPO, but then somebody could sell a new CPO. It gets traded in again and so forth. And also the accounting rules have to be tracked that very differently. Also, just a lot of additional accounting for dealer reinsurance and all of the things like that, making the system much more complex, and we've talked about the ancillary products. Sorry about that.
No worries. I'll
Thank
make
you,
this
Andy.
quick. Andy Peterson, like I said, financial products manager and also corporate risk manager for Polaris. So excited to be here today and share a little bit about how Polaris has made decisions when it comes to insourcing and outsourcing our extended warranty program. So really quickly, usually when I tell people from Polaris, they say, oh, the snowmobile company, which is true. We are the snowmobile company, but we are also much more than that. Number one manufacturer of off-road vehicles with brands like Ranger, Razor, Sportsman. We make pontoons with Bennington pontoons and Godfrey pontoons, snowmobiles, as well as motorcycles with our iconic Indian brand. Shipped over 400,000 units last year across 120 countries, 15,000 employees. I'll skip over this, but 3 things to take away from it. When we made decisions around our insourcing, outsourcing decisions, really focused on customer loyalty, growing the top line, as well as profitability. So this is our journey if you think about the insourcing and outsourcing decisions. So prior to 2014, we had an extended service contract program, but it was more of an off-the-shelf program that we bought from an insurance company. And if you talk to dealers that sold this, they were not happy. And we continue to hear about these types of experiences. So we knew we had to do something. So in 2014, we did an RFP, selected a new insurance company with one big difference. That was we took all the claims adjudication back in-house, and the same folks that were doing our standard warranty are now adjudicating our extended warranty. In 2016, we took an additional step by forming a captive insurance company and reinsuring all of the risk into that captive insurance company. So really now all we were buying was the CLIP, the contractual liability policy. And in 2018, we took an additional step, partnered with a law firm to help us understand all the different state exemptions and exemptions in Canada. And we were able to peel back our reliance on that CLIP. And now we only buy CLIP in 5 states when it comes to our extended warranty program. In 2018 and 2019, we launched a GAP program as well as maintenance programs. So really quickly, if I had to summarize what we are currently insourcing and what we're currently outsourcing, from an outsource perspective, legal and compliance, I mean, you heard the guys before this. We don't want anything to do with that, so we outsource all of our legal and compliance. Analytics, we partner with After Inc., who is a sponsor of this seminar today, to do all of our analytics. And then finance and accounting, our captive managers handle all of our accounting for our captive group. Insourcing, probably the biggest one and most important, is the claims adjudication, that our folks at Polaris are handling those. Customer service, our tier 2, tier 3 top customer service is handled by Polaris employees. My team designs our extended warranty, so determining what's excluded as well as any additional benefits we want to add. Systems is a Polaris system. It's either the warranty registration system on the front side or on the back side, it's just an extension of our manufacturer's cleaning system. The risk, we talked about that, it's all reinsured to the captive. And then sales and training is my team as well. This is the fastest I've gone through this. So if there's 3 things to take away from this presentation, 1, be strategic with what you're insourcing and outsourcing, and I think that aligns with what you folks have said. 2, tailor your solutions so that they align with your corporate strategies and where your company's going so that you're not butting heads. And then 3, and I firmly believe this, I think it's an evolution. What works today, I don't believe is going to work next year, or 2 years down the line, or 3 years. The business is going to grow. Your companies are going to evolve. Your customers are going to want different things. So we'll continue to make these. I know Polaris will. continue to make different decisions when it comes to insourcing and outsourcing.
You did very good.
You did that fast. So again, I think it's you decided what you want to accomplish and you used a bunch of resources to get there. It's just not 100% insource or 100% outsource.
No.
So
Okay. Closing comment?
Well, I really thank the panel for coming.
Absolutely.
Right, and it was Andy's idea, so he gets special credit. But I know Greg flew out just to be here, and so did Doug. But we're thrilled to be here.
Okay. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you.